Hello there, everyone. My name is Octavian, and I am back with another episode of Open Mic for you. It is good to be back. It's been a little while since I've been on this channel. For those of you who did not see any of the previous episodes in which I featured, this is a series that EpicSkillshot does where he features high elo solo queue games mainly with new and upcoming shoutcasters talking about them. And, well, hello, I'm one of those. And I hope you enjoy the shoutcast that I have to offer for you today. I hope you enjoy the game that I found for you all today. As Snowfly tosses out a volley to try and control the potential invade from Red Team a little bit. They did manage to take out a ward in that tri-burst, which is actually pretty important. Means that bottom lane doesn't have any trinket wards for a little while. That may, in some scenarios, come into play in the 2v2 in lane. But, yeah, my name is Octavian. It's good to be here. Let's get into the shoutcast proper, shall we? This game has got a good few names that you probably recognize if you're a fan of esports, League of Legends esports in general. Sneaky. Of course, most people know him from Cloud9, who have not been having their most record-breaking split recently, unless it's the bad records that you're talking about. But he's still quite a good player. Arguably, some people like to make the argument that Sneaky is the best mechanically on Cloud9, but I think that every piece of the puzzle has its place. As we see, blue team is going to be starting at the Krugs as far as jungling goes, and Jensen and Phoenix facing off in the mid lane, playing two very sort of similar champions as far as the later game goes. High, consistent output of magic damage. However, for the laning phase, I do like Azir's matchup against Kog'Maw better than Kog'Maw's matchup against Azir here. The early push from Snowfly and Finding Myself will potentially give them level 2 first here. Though seeing that rush started on the top side and that C9 Sneaky is of course missing a bit of health tells me that they likely started at the Gromp, though around that time we were looking at the mid lane. And now Phoenix is starting to get bullied away as I expected. Jensen does a huge amount of damage to him. And Phoenix is going to be forced to pop some of that sustain that he's brought with him to lane. So Spoy just about avoids the concussive blow from stacking up. And one of the reasons why I picked this replay is because we're going to be seeing Keen play Jarvan in the top lane. He's playing it against Bruiser. Well, I'm assuming what's going to be Bruiser Fizz. Could, of course, potentially still be an AP Fizz in top, but a bit less likely. Susboy is coming in for the engage rush with his signature, Lee Sin's signature early ganking. Will force a flash out of Finding Myself. Snowfly turns around with some good damage, and I'm surprised Rush did not follow up on that Q. But with a lot of cooldowns down for Susboy, perhaps it isn't so surprising. He will look like he walks out of lane, though, and then sit in the bush. There's the lantern toss. The jig is up, so they've got to make a play here now or never. The hook flies out, but doesn't connect onto Snowfly. As Finding Myself does a very good job of blocking a lot of damage there. C9 Jensen now going to be dashing in onto Phoenix. A few more auto attacks from that Sand Soldier will seal the deal of that trade in his favor. Phoenix getting harassed away over and over again. Pretty wise choice to go with the high sustain build. Kog'Maw, AP Kog'Maw in particular, not exactly known for his laning potential. Just trying to hold it out till that late game. Finding Myself again with a really nice Unbreakable. Well timed, blocks the Piltover Peacemaker, allows Snowfly to continue farming under the turret here. Though, actually, I think right there, the fact that Ashe crits on a slowed target, guaranteed, actually denied that CS to Snowfly. So, a little bit of anti-synergy underneath the turret from Ashe's passive within Ashe's other passive, I suppose. Revenge now with the Ignite going in onto Keenly. He does have that advantage in terms of laning summoners. That's the flash forced away from the Playful Trickster. The fact that Revenge has enough mobility in his kit to be able to afford to not run flash and instead take Ignite does make him a bit more of a dangerous laner, I would argue, than Keen is. This base picks up a pickaxe, and that might tilt it in his favor here, especially if he can pick a fight in just the next few moments. Revenge with his teleport down for a bit longer does not have the option to do what we just saw Keen do and head on home back to base, try and force an item spike. And yeah, he's going to be able to bully Revenge away from the lane pretty hard here. And the spot lane has sort of equalized a little bit. But here to break it out of balance are both of the junglers. Q lands from Rush. Piglet is going to respond with Finding Myself coming up as well. Rush forced to flash to take the lantern from Susboy and get out of there alive. Piglet dropping just about equally low, but not having to burn any summoners does come out on top there. And this game still holding incredibly even. 100 gold or less in favor of either team. No kills, no turrets, nothing yet on the board. Revenge still, he's choosing to go in. He has the level 6 spike. Even though he only has a Doran's Blade to Keen's pickaxe, that level 6 power spike, the extra 20% damage buff, was enough so that Revenge could choose to go in there and actually chase Keen off the wave. Phoenix, oof. That's like the third or fourth time we've seen Phoenix just about escape from soldiers that probably would have killed him. He is holding those summoners, refusing to let them be burned. Oh, Susboy lands a hook into Finding Myself. Not exactly the target they wanted, though. And in this moment of quiet, we can take a gander down and see where some of these build paths are going. It looks like it is indeed the Bruiser Fizz from Revenge. He's picked up the pieces of a Phage, which in turn is going to be a piece of a Trinity Force, which is kind of the centerpiece of that Bruiser Fizz build. As we see both Finding Myself and Snowfly immediately going into a hard push as soon as Susboy and Sneaky head on home, trying to deny as much gold as possible because they are just about holding even with this Caitlyn lane, which is a good accomplishment for Snowfly's Ashe, who is outranged in that lane. Ooh, the Bullets doesn't connect. And there's a lot of backup for Rush here. Looks like Piglet is going to have to reluctantly give up that Raptor. Rush playing super aggro all over the map, trusting in his teammates a little bit to follow up here and there. There's Revenge. He's going to be seeing an opening and going for it here with Finding Myself coming in from the side. That will be first blood at 8 minutes on the board with a support roam to the top lane. Rush now looking for a red buff steal, but he doesn't have the follow-up here to remain safe. He's going to force himself, he's going to be forced rather, over the wall into the Dragon Pit. The Rush is not going to let up the pressure. We've seen him all over the map except for top lane, oddly enough. To be fair, a Fizz lane is difficult to gank, but he's got a Jarvan to back up that could potentially make that work. Especially considering Fizz does not have Flash, so he's not as slippery as he could potentially be. Ooh, nice sidestep from Sneaky. That was gorgeous. It's just sexy to watch right there. Sneaky very neatly avoiding that Ashe ulti. Flash into the hook! Snowfly gets pulled back by Susboy, but Piglet is still here, and despite that beautiful hook, a 3v2 advantage is in favor of blue team. Finding Myself steps back to block the ace in the hole, and that'll be a 1-for-1 trade, as thankfully Susboy was able to finally take down the kill onto Snowfly. Liquid Piglet in the right spot at the right time to prevent total disaster. But Susboy had a absolutely gorgeous hook and held up a 3v2 scenario, turn it into a 1-for-1 trade. Can't really complain too much about that. As Rush's aggressiveness pays off, noticing Piglet was on the other side of the map, took advantage of that, grabbed a blue buff, gave it over to his jungler, but it does mean that Piglet is going to do a small invade of his own. No blue buff for him to steal. He will at least take the wolf camp, get the timer on the blue. Do his best to try and even out that pressure. Rush is a very difficult jungler to play against because of how constant he is. Everywhere on the map, all the time. Champions like Lee Sin are his forte. Oh my god, nothing hit the man! He ward hops over the wall, kicks Revenge away. But you cannot dodge away from an Ignite. He will be going down. Liquid Piglet now falls as well to Jensen. 1-for-1 trade on the board. Once again, this game continues to hold even. Only 100 gold difference in either direction. If we do pull it through to the late game, we're going to have to keep an eye on Phoenix here. We haven't seen a ton of action in the mid-game, in the mid lane rather, so far. Aside from Phoenix getting pushed out of lane over and over again. But we might... Oh no, no sidestep for Sneaky this time. That's going to be finding myself helping Snowfly to secure the kill. In one of the most CC-heavy lanes I have ever witnessed. Braum and Ashe is absolutely terrifying. Susboy, though, trying to even it up with a roam into the mid lane. There's the Flay. He tosses out the hook point blank. Liquid Phoenix is going down here. And Octavian Surprise will not secure anything further. As Jensen takes a Dark Passage to safety. Keen has seemed to garnered the upper hand. Seems to have garnered the upper hand, rather. In top lane, though. Which is a bit of a turnaround from what we saw before. Revenge was flying on in every time that ulti was available. It might just be an item differential. As we do see Revenge hasn't backed quite yet, whereas Keen has had 2 opportunities to do so. And has picked himself up the ingredients of a Hex Drinker. Rush now, for the first time, coming up towards top. EQ already burned from Keen, though. This could be a bit of a dangerous dive onto Revenge. He's going to Playful Trickster away. There's the kick against the wall. Finding myself has roamed top once again, but Keen, with all of that Jarvan burst, will finish off the fish. Rush might be in some trouble, though. Thrill of the Hunt is popped. He flashes out of the way of Winter's Bite. And Keen just simply based himself back home in that tiny little pixel bush off to the side. So Thrill of the Hunt was burned and nothing gained. That is a huge deal. The first Rengar ulti of a game is always so pivotal. Nice hook from Susboy. This guy has been showing up this game. Snowfly walks into a wall and feels a lot of pain. I don't know that Revenge can really, well, take revenge here for his fallen comrade. He turns around with the fish, though. The Flay didn't connect. Half of Susboy's health is gone. He's got the Sheen for those huge procs of damage. He will take 1 kill down, but he will fall himself. As Sneaky cleans him up. And now Sneaky might be falling as well. So many scraps in the bottom lane. Winter's Bite connects, and Finding Myself is going to look to stack up the rest of his passive. One more. There it is. Sneaky is stunned. And that is doom for this man. No amount of juking in a bush is going to save his life. Red team was able to pick up another turret on the board off of that, though. Slowly creeping ahead in terms of global advantage. We'll keep an eye on when Thrill of the Hunt is going to be available again. Since Piglet hasn't been able to have nearly as large an impact on this game as Rush has. If you look at the KDAs, it doesn't look that way, but there have been many opportunities that have simply been missed by Piglet. And Rush, despite not getting a lot of the kills that he's gone for, has at least created pressure across more of the map than we've seen Piglet been able to do. However, all that might be rectified with another good Thrill of the Hunt. Be interested to see where he chooses to use that ultimate. There's actually a lot of really big pivotal ultimates on the side of Blue Team. If Chum the Waters or the Frozen Arrow, if either of those don't connect, their teamfight can be greatly hindered. A lot of skill shots got to land here. Dragon is up and available. Wouldn't be surprised to see this get contested. Rush is going to start that one off as Hawkshot comes across. Ashe does provide quite a bit of vision for the team, but this thing is getting burned down so swiftly. There is no possible contention from Blue Team on that, especially considering that they need to deal with Jensen's almost constant pressure in mid lane. That is one of the great things about Azir with that turret, with your safety at a long range, and of course the AoE auto attacks from the Sand Soldiers. You can push a wave so swiftly. And look at this aggro play from Red Team. They don't even care that they got blue trinketed. They are still pushing up beyond the second turret here, and there are 3 members of blue team on the other side of the map. They are just not in position to respond to this, and that is the secondary turret going to fall. A 4-0 turret lead for red team here. I mean, the KDAs are even for most of the lanes, most of the game, but that doesn't really matter if every global is falling in favor of the enemy team. Ooh, that hook was so close. But this is League of Legends. Close is not quite good enough. And we're going to have to see what blue team can maybe pull out of their bag of tricks to try and come back in this one. They do have a good amount of power in Revenge right now. Especially once he completes that Trinity Force. I'll have to check and see how much gold does the man have. He's got about 800, 900 gold in his inventory right now. So not quite at the point where he could complete it. Is that a... Looks like Piglet opted into a Cinder Hulk. He's actually going for a tanky Rengar build. To be fair, his team is not all that tanky. They're a little bit lacking in a front line, but I don't know if that was the right choice. The way this game is going, it might be over within the next 10 minutes or so. So building for the early game, getting some maybe Armor Pen, Warrior Enchantment, or something like that, might have been much more impactful for him, especially considering how aggro Rush is playing. He's going for the tiny advantages all over the place, never letting up. And Piglet just can't contest, especially not with the Cinder Hulk built, the slower item. C9 sneaky. Not pulling the trigger early when Snowfly stepped onto that cupcake. Waited for Snowfly to walk even closer. There's the flash over the wall, and the headshot alone is enough. Good patience from Sneaky. Now, Revenge is going to try and turn with a fight here. Teleport comes in from both sides. Keenly is going to be knocking Revenge up into the air. Sneaky does get a return kill. Phoenix now forced to flash and Ghost to stay alive here. Piglet down to just a few hundred hit points, and his tankiness just isn't enough here. And he didn't have enough damage to make an impact either. Now Phoenix gonna go down to the ace in the hole as Sneaky picks up an unofficial Quadra. And becomes suddenly incredibly monstrous. That was very, very nice cleanup duty by Sneaky, but I have to credit so much of that play, so much of the game so far to Rush's aggressiveness. It's just unrelenting ability to take advantage after advantage, however small they are. He never lets something go, but Jensen is going to be desperation ulting to try and take Snowfly out. That Dark Passage, even if he had taken it, wouldn't have saved him, and now Sussboy might be going down for his efforts to save an ally, but Keenly will finish off Snowfly. Revenge is fairly squishy. He hasn't built into any of his tanky items yet. He might be trading 1 for 1 here with Keenly, but he does have the ability to leap to safety over the wall. And Keen, without his combo available, won't be able to follow. Fish connects. Can they make enough distance up here? Phoenix is landing those Bioarcane barrages, and Revenge will get a killing spree. But he'll give up his life for it. Even more gold to Sneaky. Gets a shutdown on top of the earlier Quadra. And has finished both Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer before his opposing counterpart in the enemy team has even managed to complete one of those two. Sneaky is an absolute powerhouse right now. And with the way that Red Team's comp is set up, they could easily go for some sort of siege play. We've got both Azir and Caitlyn. Rush wouldn't really fit too well into that plan, but that's okay. He can just sit around and wait for a for an engage or disengage play, but that isn't exactly Rush's style. So maybe we'll see more scattered brawls here and there. Maybe we'll see more counter jungle attempts. But with so many of the turrets pushed down, there's basically only the core of blue team's base remaining. And while that is obviously not... Whoa! Jensen getting hit up by the Crystal Arrow, and Revenge brings down the kill. That is the power of Ashe. She can be there in spirit even when she is not there in, well, in form. And that'll be the outer turret falling in the mid lane. First turret on the board at 20 minutes into the game for blue team. They might be able to take a second on top of it. This is a little bit dangerous, though. They're getting flanked around the sides. There's a lot of engage on the side of red team. Not only Rush, but also Keen. And it looks like they'll be able to back out of there in time. Dragon available in 30 seconds, though. We'll have to see whether or not that becomes a center for playmaking for either of these teams, because as I said, the core of Blue Team's base is all that's really remaining. So these outer objectives are what's around to draw them out of their safe hidey hole, and I guess Baron does qualify as one of those outer objectives. Just past 20 minutes, we're seeing a Baron attempt here from Red Team, but they do get spotted out by the Scrying Orb. I think that was just, as I was saying, to try and draw Blue Team out of the base. Rush gets chunked down by some long-range poke. Nicely landed by Phoenix, and while we are still sort of early on in the game for Kog'Maw to have a huge impact, the Luden's Echo completion is a pretty big power spike, and the blue buff that he just secured will help him spam out damage. Phoenix is going to become much more of a presence in these teamfights now. And the later game scaling capabilities that Blue Team has to offer, well, as we move later into the game, are going to become evident. However, Red Team is not lacking in and of their own right either. Jensen is, of course, going to become incredibly powerful as the game moves forward. Azir can become monstrous in the late game if he gets enough cooldown reduction and attack speed under his belt, which, of course, are basically the same thing for him. I think it's going to... In the earlier game, it was much more down to the junglers who was going to win that, but in the later game, we're going to have to throw the ball into the court of the mid laners, I would say. Kick over the wall from Rush to keep Revenge at a distance. That was an Azir turret falling, by the way, so no actual global objective gained. I think they need to make a new announcement for Azir turrets falling, but hey. They do at least have the visual that shows up in the middle of the screen, so if you're paying close attention, or if you're just paying attention at all, really, it doesn't require that close of an eye, then you can make out when it's a actual turret falling and giving up gold, and when it's an Azir turret falling, and, well, I guess they do give up gold as well, but only local. Jensen opting to go for a Rylai's Crystal Scepter here. It's a good choice on Azir in general. It isn't a bad Azir item. It makes his auto attacks even harder to escape from. It can make all the difference, because 2 auto attacks can maybe not kill someone, but maybe 3 does. Maybe someone has only a little bit of health left, and if they're slowed, then yeah, that last auto attack is going to connect. If not, then maybe not, and that kill might get away from you. It also does, of course, give quite a good amount of health, which will help him survive through the dive. To be fair, the dive is kind of gimped right now by the fact that Piglet is still choosing to go into a tank build, which later on in the game might actually help the team a good amount. Having a frontline, just looking at this team comp on the face of it, I was considering that having a frontline would be sort of their Achilles heel for Blue Team, but with Rengar opting to go into full tank, if they can pull this to the late game, that problem will be assuaged a little bit. Finding myself is going to go ahead and use the... Whoa, he's going to go ahead and use the Braum ulti just to get the knockup on a Jensen alone. That might not have been the right call, as there's a lot of dive coming in from Red Team, and now there's no peel for Snowfly. Double kill for Sneaky again, cleaning up team fights. Piglet now going in, but he is a tanky Rengar. He does not have the damage to clean up this fight. Susboy is going to land another beautiful hook. And that'll be Piglet going down as well in a 3-for-0 trade that Blue Team rather opted into. Braum engaged onto this, and they are losing it all over the place. Keenly takes down Phoenix. Again, the Octavian surprise not going to have too much of an impact. They'll summarily push out the mid lane and probably go for this Baron. It doesn't matter that they're walking over Vision. There's nobody alive who can stop them. Except maybe Revenge, actually. But Revenge is sitting around in base. Chum the Waters isn't even up. He has teleport. We'll have to see if they do choose to try and interrupt this. Finding Myself is coming in. It's gone down way too quickly, but they might still be able to clean up a few kills here or there. Rush gets taken out by Revenge. But Revenge then falls in a 1-for-1 trade. But it's a bit worse than a 1-for-1 trade for Blue Team, seeing as Baron was given up to the other side. That was a really neat basing animation. Never seen Galactic Azir go back to base before, so just had to comment on that. Doesn't really have anything to do with the game analysis. But hey, it's the little things that keep you interested. It's the little things that make you love this game. Right, there's a lot of little things like that. Some of them are more annoying than not as a caster. Have you ever tried to cast a Ghost Bride Morgana game? It's so annoying when Morgana goes back to base. If you're in the middle of some detailed analysis or even a team fight or something and you hear the Morgana going back to base sound, you just get distracted because it sounds like Morgana is being sucked up through a vacuum cleaner. And just screaming about it the whole way. That's my 2 cents on that. Red team is grouping in the mid lane as 4 with Baron buff, with a Caitlyn, with an Azir. Rush might have to hold the trigger finger here because if he does, his team can just absolutely melt these turrets with basically 0 risk. Aside from a good engage from Snowfly. But we saw what happens when blue team goes for an engage and it goes wrong. It goes very, very wrong. Because a lot of their engage tools are also their peeling tools and they can really only choose one or the other. If Braum uses a Glacial Fissure to start a fight off, then he doesn't have it to prevent Revenge from getting next to Snowfly, who's very, very immobile and very, very squishy. Piglet gets kicked over the wall. It doesn't matter how tanky this guy is. There are 5 people around him, and he is getting burned to smithereens. Jensen will pick up that kill. And another one right afterwards. Both of the tankiest members of blue team being taken out as if they were nothing more than tissue paper. Inhibitor, turret, inhibitor going to fall right afterwards. Red team has been playing consistently this whole game. And it looks like they're going to keep that up. Go with the safe play, take the top lane inhibitor as well. Use those Baron buffed minions to make an uncontestable push into the enemy base. And then head on home. And force the enemy to deal with all of that guaranteed pressure from the double inhibitors down. This is looking dire for blue team. Ooh. Ooh. Susboy gets hit by at least one of those skill shots. Let's see if it's enough. It is indeed. But 1 kill for 2 inhibitors. Not exactly a good trade. Revenge. Ooh, can he make it over the wall? He can with the Playful Trickster. He stops existing, and there's no way that shields work when the enemy isn't even there to be bounced back. Sneaky is legendary, though, with an ace in the hole from the side that isn't quite blocked. And Keen is pulling an Expeke here. Gets a Nexus turret. Might even kill Phoenix before he goes down. The burst is huge, but Phoenix does have a good defensive line from the rest of his team. But it gives time for Rush and Sneaky to show up. There's still huge minion waves coming in. We haven't even seen the supers from the top side yet. And yet still, blue team's base is falling. Sneaky is here, and nobody can stop him. Finding Myself is coming forward, but the Glacial Fissure gets sidestepped beautifully. Piglet with a tanky Rengar build once again doesn't have the damage to finish off Sneaky. Finding Myself is trying to make this kill happen, but he gets kited back onto. Finally, Rush will fall, but it looks like Sneaky's going to get out with his life. Now they've got to deal with the super minions who have finally shown up. Took their sweet time. Phoenix will do his best to secure this blue buff, but I don't know if he can do it. Sneaky's around, and Sneaky is legendary, and he takes the blue buff. Kick him while he's down, Sneaky. The red team has this game well in hand, it looks like. There'd have to be a huge misplay to give it up. I don't think that is quite on the table. Shark comes through, does land on a Jensen, but once again he's going to toss out his ulti. Nicely timed Zonia's to avoid the stun and a beautiful Dark Passage. We'll just pull him to safety. And that is all of blue team's engage tools down. This is the end of the road, I think. There's super minions pushing in onto the Nexus turrets. They're missing nearly all of their ultis. Susboy does land another hook on the Piglet. But really, these are just the bookends at the end of the story. Keen is here. Looks like, well, Sneaky isn't actually quite nearby, but Rush is. They've got super minions taken out. The Nexus turrets, they've got super minions taking out the Nexus, and they're just looking to pad their KDAs at this point. Get some fun kills at the end of the game. Thank you guys for watching. We see Rush kick Phoenix off the altar. Jensen might actually kill Snowfly here too as well. He does! They're just not letting up, even when the enemy has nothing left. They will take the box that they keep the nothing in. There we go. That is the end of the game. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Octavian. I'll see you all next time. Hello everybody, welcome to the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, and you want to see more of my content, you can check out my YouTube channel, it'll be linked in the description below. And if you want to get one of your own gameplays shoutcasted over by my sultry tones, then you can go ahead and check out my YouTube channel as well. There's instructions there on how to get your gameplay featured on my YouTube channel with my voice behind it. Anyways, I'll see you all next time. It's been a joy to cast for you.